So I'm seeing a bunch of text messages about a particular guest on our show. Not sure if it makes the rewind, but a lot of funny commentary there on the A&B text line. Welcome into TexAgs Rewind. I am David Nuno. We are doing much better than we were doing on Monday. Well, really not much better, but we're moving on. New week, Miami's coming up, and the Aggies just got to figure out a way to go get it. And we talked about that this week or today on the program. We did our big shot of the week from the prior game, and the only guy really, there was a couple that came up, but Tumise came up and Devon Achane. Hopefully we'll have a lot more candidates for next week's big shot of the week. Charean Williams on Aggies in the NFL. Always good insight to what's happening there with the Cowboys, the Texans, the NFL, and, of course, her thoughts on the Aggies. We had Mike Scanlin on. That was cool to talk to him about getting inducted into the A&M Athletics Hall of Fame. He was there, part of the big event a couple weeks back there with 8 Aggies getting inducted. Johnny, you had Gary Blair, Mike Evans. It was a cool event. So good to talk to Coach Mike Scanlin. He's not a coach. He's just Mr. Mike Scanlin to me. And Jordan Pugh, raw, unfiltered. He brought it. And he said, no, sir, David, I'm not going to allow you to have this veteran talk of why App State. This is what really happened. You'll love it. It's TexAgs Rewind. Right.
And that's Devon Achane. Now, he has the 26-yard touchdown run. The first time he gets some decent blocking, and he's in the secondary. And, again, he gets in the secondary. It's 50-50 chance, maybe better than that he's going to score. And then the touchdown on the kickoff return was amazing.
Yeah.
He showed everything he has on that. He showed moves. He showed power. He showed his awesome speed. It was actually a more impressive individual effort than it was the one that he returned against Alabama.
Yeah, I mean, I thought they had him on the corner, on the sidelines, and he
just shows that. First, he showed the power to run through one tackle, and then he jukes his way around a couple guys, and he just outruns everybody.
10 carries, 66 yards. I'll take that. I mean, I'll take more carries, but the 6.6 yard per carry. Obviously, one of those was that big touchdown play, but get him the ball more. Don't allow them to shorten the game when you got a guy like him. You shorten the game.
And the thing is, he's your best weapon, but you can also, if you start giving the ball more and he becomes more productive, then he becomes even more effective as a decoy.
The other one we're going to have is a defensive player that I think on the very first drive, we noticed, this guy is starting to stand out there. I'll let you take it from here. Okay.
If we're thinking about the same guy, I thought Tumise Adeleye played a really strong football game. He rushed the passer well. He played really well against the run. I think he might have been the best defensive player in the game for A&M the other day.
He was fantastic. We needed more on third downs. I'm going to go ahead and say that. I think 17 points is enough to win a game, but they just needed to get those guys off the field to give the offense, I'm not saying that Haynes is a volume guy. Go ahead.
3 quarterback hurries. You don't always get the sack.
Yep.
But you can consistently apply pressure, and he did that.
Charean, can we go through the Aggies in the NFL that had a nice weekend?
Absolutely. There's so many this week. I'm going to start with a couple of honorable mentions in Mike Evans, who had the beautiful touchdown catch against the Cowboys in that 19-3 victory on Sunday night. And I've got to point out Justin Evans. He didn't make the top 3, but my goodness, hadn't played since 2018 because of injuries. Started for the Saints, played 51 snaps, played outstanding. So we're going to see a lot of Justin Evans. Just so happy for him after such a long wait to get back into the NFL and play. And he's found that under Dennis Allen in New Orleans. But my number 3 is Justin Matabuke with the Ravens. 5 tackles, half a sack, 1 tackle for loss. He graded out as the Ravens' top defensive player this week. Just really had an outstanding game. Then we had 2 revenge games, so I had to go with those 2 guys. So we're going all with the defensive linemen this week. Myles Garrett, 2 sacks, 4 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, a forced fumble, and a pass defense against his former teammate Baker Mayfield. And Von Miller, of course, in that Thursday night opener, 2 sacks, 4 tackles, 3 tackles for loss in that game against his former Rams teammates and Matthew Stafford. So just some outstanding performances from Aggies. I was hoping that Randy Bullock might make the list as well, but unfortunately he missed that last-second field goal, or we'd had a couple more, and Ryan Tannehill getting in a position and Randy Bullock making the kick. But it was overall a pretty good week for the Aggies in the NFL.
It's funny, I was preparing for this interview and I saw something where you kind of phrased, you were a power hitter your whole career, but you didn't mind going lead off with that crew.
Oh, absolutely. And it's funny because I talked to Kathy Capps and I called Samantha. And when I saw the list, I was like, listen, all right, how do I make my speech heard for my family without them being preoccupied with the other greats up there? And so I called and I said, listen, I want to be the leadoff hitter in this induction. I want to speak first. And they're like, are you serious? I said, absolutely. I said, there's no way that I want to speak behind these greats. And that's that's how it evolved. And so you're exactly right. I mean, I forfeited the 4-hole so that I could, so these guys could have their moments.
I love the part where you talk about your kids because, sometimes and I'm assuming this may have happened in your life, you tell your kids or your wife tells your kids about your career and they're like, yeah, Dad, sure you were great. And here you are being inducted and they get to see the kind of reception and the honor that it was.
Oh, absolutely. And that's correct. Through the years of playing with our kids in athletics, you don't really understand what the parents did or my dad did. My dad was, I think he played some junior college at Allen Academy. And you just don't get that perspective of how good that parent actually was. And to be able to see them, and I asked them if they could be there. I didn't demand that they be there. And man, they rallied because I've got a daughter in Virginia Beach. I've got a daughter in Enid, Oklahoma, and I've got a son in Washington, D.C., Georgetown. And along with their spouses, they all felt this was a very important event and night. And they came together for me and hopefully they got to feel a little bit of what I felt during my playing years.
All right, so let's say there is a change, okay? Let's say Max gets to start this one. Is that at least a start to galvanize maybe some of the offense?
I mean, yeah, you can say that. I've been saying it from the jump, and I could be completely wrong. You have a guy in Connor Wegman. You have a freshman. You're already playing freshman at the receiver position. The only upperclassman I think that's starting is what, Chase Lane maybe? You have young guys all over the place. If this is going to be a throwaway season, if this is going to be a season where you have to just go through the ups and downs, you got to get gut punched, I would rather go with the young guy. Build around that, build the chemistry with that, because now it's one thing to be on the sideline, it's another thing to be in the fire. I hate when people say you learn in practice. No, you don't. You learn in the game. That is the biggest lie in America. I think Max, I like Max. I don't love Max. There's a reason why Max didn't beat out Haynes. Haynes is the starter, and Haynes is giving you what he's giving you. That tells me that there's something wrong with Max. I watched Max play last year. I thought he was good. I didn't think he was great. Everybody talks about the talent that LSU had last year. It was upper class talent. You're dealing with a lot of young guys. So, I don't know what you're going to get that's any different. I think it can be better, and it may be able to ignite something, and I hope it does. But the way that we look right now, we look like a young team that's lost, that's trying to find its way. I'd rather put that young guy in who the future is versus have the older guys that have been in the system that continually have to fight for their position.
Jordan, follow me on this, not theory, this thought I had yesterday, okay? And I threw it out there as a hope more than a reality, and we'll see. So App State is full of grown men. Maybe not the 4 or 5 stars, but grown men who have played 5 years in a system, 4 years in a system, and A&M's playing with a bunch of, I don't want to say kids, but a lot younger players that haven't been through the trenches the way. Maybe that's the reason for that game. And look, the offense is what the offense is, but perhaps that loss is more on the veterans that they had. No, you're already shaking your head.
All right, so look. We want to be an upper echelon team. Is that correct?
Yeah.
All right. We want to be considered the elite, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. So who are the elite in the sport? Alabama's the elite. Georgia's the elite. Let's throw Ohio State, and let's say they're the elite. Every year they have young guys come in. So let's look at Alabama. Bryce Bryce Young was a sophomore last year, won the Heisman. What difference does it make? You had young sophomores on the Alabama offensive line. Everybody talks about how that's their weak point, but yet they went to a national championship, won the SEC. In order for us to be a top-tier team, in order for us to be an elite program, we have got to have those young guys, and we have to be able to strategically plug those young guys in. Do I think that that's a part of the problem? Yes. When you have 22-year-old guys versus 18-year-old guys, yes, that is a difference in development. But also at the same time, if you have the recruiting class like we've had last year, like we put together the past 2 seasons with top 5 classes, you should be able to have guys that should be able to outshine and outclass those guys at Appalachian State.
Well, do me a favor, comment, like, subscribe. I try to respond as much as I can, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Rough week. We're Aggies together. If you're not an Aggie and watching, thank you so much. You can share it too and tell your friends, look at these guys. What a bunch of weirdos. Go ahead and do it. It helps the algorithm, helps us out. So thank you. We'll see you next time.